The Warriors have been perhaps the NBA's most disappointing team, and that is among many other standout disappointments. And unfortunately, one of the core reasons why this team has been severely disappointing has been from two of the three most core factors in this team being successful ever in the first place. Klay Thompson and Draymond Green are not what they used to be, and this might be the end of the Warriors' big three. So just to set the precedent of really, I guess, how sad this is, as well as just what this video is overall about, let's first talk about what these three players were actually capable of doing while they were all at their peaks together. The Warriors worked flawlessly together. The system on offense was built around Steph's gravity, and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson were able to play off of that. Steph and Draymond's pick and roll is one of the best pick and roll duos ever, and that is in spite of the fact that Draymond Green is not a strong roll man. Steph's gravity combined with Draymond's ability to pass on the short roll meant that they were pretty much able to get a good shot out of any possession. Either they didn't defend Draymond on the roll or the pop whatsoever, and he would hit it, including his threes earlier on in his career, or he would make a play to somebody, potentially Klay Thompson on the perimeter, or Steph would get open off of the screen. Really, there was just an endless amount of options, and it resulted in the Warriors getting good shots all of the time. And like Steph is the foundation of the Warriors' offense, Draymond is that to the defense. And his defense has been some of the best the league has seen since he's entered it, and he's won multiple Defensive Player of the Years as a result. So starting there, when you look at where the Golden State Warriors defense is right now, with Draymond Green continuing to be the main fundamental defender and the anchor to that defense, well, they're currently 24th in defense, and for someone who has been the anchor of top five defenses in the last 7 seasons prior to this one, that's just unacceptable for his standard, which means he is either dramatically underperforming, and that's just the way that it is, or the rest of the team has been so disastrous on that end that he can't do anything about it. And while there have definitely been some problems defensively, especially with Klay Thompson, we'll talk about that in a second, as well as the bench unit, those same issues existed last year, and the Warriors were first in defense. Like, Gary Payton II is not the difference between this team being one of the best defenses in the league and 24th. On to Klay Thompson. Has anyone told this guy that he is allowed to pass? Because it appears as though his A or X button, depending on your sexual preference, it's broken. That's a joke that I stole from Nakey Jakey. Klay this year is shooting 35% from the field and 33% from 3. And the worst part is this could be cleaned up quite easily by simply changing his shot selection. Klay Thompson in his prime was absolutely a gunslinger. He was someone who would like to shoot the ball whenever he was given the opportunity. But that did not mean that he was dumb with his shot selection. He generally would take shots that he was very capable of making, and the Warriors' offensive system would create those shots for him. He did also run around screens constantly and got a lot of work done off ball, whereas now it feels like anytime Klay Thompson catches the ball, he is looking to shoot it. It happens all the time where he gets the ball and it's just like, all right, Klay's shooting it now. It doesn't matter if he has to take a bunch of dribbles. It doesn't matter if it's going to be heavily contested. He's going to find some way to shoot this. Probably some dumb mid-range fadeaway, you know? And that issue existed with Klay Thompson last year, but it's been even worse this year, and it's resulted in some serious inefficiency in him averaging just 15 points per game, which is not up to his standard. It's easy to blame the Achilles and the ACL injuries and him not having played in the last 2 years, and I get that that's definitely a factor here, but really where it seems to have affected him most clearly has been his mentality. Based on his comments every time someone criticizes him this year, it really feels like an ego thing. Like he wants to prove that he is still who he used to be, and the irony is that it's that very motive that is holding him back from playing anything like what we used to know him to be. Klay Thompson seems to feel the need to prove himself as one of the league's top shooters again, and he's doing so by taking shots constantly, and because he's taking shots constantly, he's missing shots constantly, and because he's missing shots constantly, he can't exactly be the best shooter in the world or anything close to it, obviously. Now, where I will give Klay more of a break, though again, there's still some blame for just how he's choosing to go about this, The Achilles has definitely affected the defense more so than anything else. His ability to navigate around screens, his ability to fight through contact, his ability to just try is frankly not as significant. And I don't mean the try thing as in he's never trying, although there's sometimes that he's just not. But I also do get the impression that it's taking more energy for Klay Thompson to be on a basketball court than it used to, which that, again, it makes sense. Not having played basketball for 2 years, obviously he played last year, but for that 2-year stretch, it's still taking time to recover. But the one thing you can say about Klay Thompson is that last year, while he was not outstanding by any stretch, he was also not this bad. He shot dumb shots still, but he at least was making them a little bit more. And in the playoffs, he had a couple of games where he was the reason they won. There was also a few games where you could argue he was the reason they lost, but overall, either neutral or positive for the most part. But Klay Thompson thus far has been nothing but negative, save for like 2 or 3 games. And where this really concerns me is with Stephen Curry. I feel really bad for him right now because of all of this. He is putting up some of the best numbers in his career. And mind you, that is a really high bar. It is taking insane carry jobs from Steph for the Warriors to get wins at this point. He had to get 50 points versus the Phoenix Suns, and they still lost. He had 39 and 9 to start November, and guess what? The Warriors still lost the Orlando Magic in that game. Stephen Curry, at the age of 34, should not be dealing with the burden of carrying this team, not only because he's not maybe physically going to be able to handle it for much longer, but more importantly than that, he has earned not having to do this crap anymore for the team. He is the reason the Warriors are the Warriors, and frankly, the responsibility should not lie on him to turn this thing around. I know that it's people's natural inclination to look at a team failing and immediately focus in on the superstar of that team, but Stephen Curry is showing up to his job every day, and he's doing it to the best of his ability and then some. Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, not so much. So frankly, I don't know that we're really going to see these core 3 players win a championship together as those 3 top-ish players. Obviously, Andrew Wiggins was better than Klay Thompson last year, and even arguably better than Draymond Green. But, you know, at the very least, those 3 were very core to it. I think there is a very high likelihood that Draymond Green is not on this team within 2 years. And honestly, the same can be said for Klay Thompson, because if he continues to struggle to shoot the ball to the degree that he has, he becomes a pretty valueless player when you add on to it that his perimeter defense has fallen off of a cliff. So both Draymond and Klay, and frankly, especially Klay, because while Draymond has been disappointing, Klay Thompson has been straight up awful. They need to turn this ship around. Otherwise, we have seen the last of these 3 guys being the core of a championship team. Because right now, Klay and Draymond really do not have that in them. Steph has showed up to his job, but they have not. Draymond's more interested in punching people, and Klay Thompson's more interested in putting up 22 shots than actually scoring 22 points. Klay figuring out his shot selection would be huge, and the Warriors trading for bench depth would be huge. But overall, I'm quite concerned that this is the last of the big 3. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.